Hello, my name is Esty Zanetti, and for this sports med project, I had a medical journal and medical researching. And the topic I chose to do was the future of 3D printed organs and transplants and the advantages to them. And specifically, I'm going to talk mostly about kidneys just because those are the most common. So, for some context, why are artificial organs important and why do we need them? For anybody that needs an organ transplanted means that their organ is not working and they need that organ to survive essentially. And unfortunately, most of the time that people receive an organ, it is from a person that recently died. There are some instances, like with kidneys, where you can donate one of your kidneys and just live off of the other, so they can be from a living donor, but that's really hard because a lot of doctors don't want to do surgery on people that don't need it just because of the risks that come with surgery. And also, you need to have a person in mind. There's not just people like walking around, and they need to be a good fit for you with like their blood type and stuff like that. In the US alone, 106,800 people are on the donor list currently. In the world, there's about 170 million people on the donor list waiting for organs. And every single day, 17 people die just because organs don't just like walk around. Like people, it's hard to get your hands on them and meet the requirements and stuff. And as time moves on, organ failure is just becoming more common for some reason. And additionally, like another reason it's pretty hard to get an organ is because even if somebody's died and they're an organ donor and like they're the right match and stuff, there's a really strict time limit on how much time between that person dies and the time it's transplanted is. So that can really affect the likelihood. So, how do scientists and doctors even make these organs so that they function correctly? So, first, a doctor needs to take a biopsy of the current patient to get their cells. They just stick a needle in you and collect some cells from your body from different areas, whatever they need, so that they can make an organ out of your own cells so that your body doesn't recognize it as foreign or anything and try and reject it. So you don't have to be on anti-rejection meds after getting this organ. So then they take these cells and they put them in an incubator and feed them and let them grow and be healthy. These incubators are these chip-like things up here, and those mimic human physiology and control the microenvironment so that those cells are growing healthy. And then you mix those cells with a glue-like gel called bioink, which makes it printable. It helps the body absorb it better and bridge the two together. And yeah, it just makes those cells into something printable. And then you load that mixture into the printing chamber and print that organ layer by layer. Then as soon as it's finished, you need to immediately get it into a bioreactor and start perfusing it. This bioreactor could be the person receiving the organ, or it could be like some kind of container that's controlled and has blood or liquid in it that can make sure that it stays alive, because it has the same problem as traditional organs, that it's like alive and it like functions. So if it's outside of like the habitat it's supposed to be in, it'll die. And then once that organ is in the person and it's working, that glue or bioink that I talked about earlier, it like bridges the organ to the person, and that will start to degrade over time. However, like it's a good thing that it's degrading. That's what it's meant to do, so that the body senses that the bioink is dissolving and starts creating its own, so that it's able to adapt to the organ and act like it's its own. So like this bioink stuff, like I need to explain more what it is. It's basically a medical version of those plastic filaments that you see for regular 3D printers. It's made out of collagen and gelatin. It has water-rich molecules in it. It's non-toxic, biodegradable, and biocompatible, so the body doesn't recognize it as a foreign substance and tries to attack it or anything. So it works with your body. So as far as price points, the traditional transplant cost is really high. A patient on dialysis, which is what people have to be on when they're waiting a transplant, is about $250,000 a year. and that's before insurance, so usually a person doesn't pay that out of pocket. But in the cases where people don't have insurance, like, that's what they're paying. And the average cost of one single kidney transplant is $442,500. And that kidney will usually last between 15 to 25 years, depending if it's from a live donor or a dead donor. So that only buys the person 15 to 25 years before they have to look for another kidney. And then versus the 3D printed transplant cost, the average cost of an artificial kidney is about $100,000, which is still expensive, but it's a lot less expensive. That person would save about $342,500. People don't know the longevity of the 3D printed organs yet because they're still in trial. They're not, people haven't had them long enough to really know how long they last. But as far as like 3D printed organs, people can be on the normal donor list for years and years and never get an organ. But if they use this artificial organ, the whole process can last 4 to 6 weeks. So from the moment they get that biopsy done to having it transplanted can take less than 2 months. So, yeah, that is 3D printed organs. Thank you.